when you're in a symptom flare-up or experiencing symptoms, actually throughout your entire time in CFS, you're going to be quite emotional. So it's better to be prepared for when these times come. When you get bored, at least you'll have a list of things that you could pull from, right? Well, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, versus in the moment, just being, what do I feel like doing right now? Because then you can tend to overdo it. You could tend to, just do things off the spur, which is okay. If you're further along down the road in recovery where your body is more functional and there's a lot more capacity or it's a little bit more forgiving, then yes, you could do things off the spur of the moment. Hey guys, how's it going? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how boredom can actually be a great sign that you are moving forward in your recovery. Now, boredom is one of those things where you wouldn't be bored if your body was feeling like it's running away from a lion. You wouldn't be bored if you were completely in the depths of survival mode. So a lot of times back when I was very sick, even when I was bedridden, when I couldn't do many things, I would get extremely bored because obviously you're limited in the things that you could do. You're limited in how much phone time you can have, how much TV you can watch. You're limited in who you can hang out with, limited in the foods you can eat, and you pretty much have to peel back away from life. You can't participate in a lot of things. And so that obviously, as you know, leads to a lot of boredom, right? You spend a lot of time staring at the wall, staring at the ceiling, just closing your eyes, waiting for the symptoms to go away. This is very, very common. When I was extremely bored, that actually was a good sign. And a lot of people feel this way as well, right? Because, as I said, you can do a lot of things. But here's the thing. The moment you start getting bored is the moment you can actually start introducing activities, right? Because you wouldn't be bored if you were fighting for your life. You wouldn't be bored if your brain was stuck in survival mode. So typically it kind of works in like 3 different stages, right? Or 3 different states. You're going to fluctuate back and forth from. One, it's survival mode, right? Fight or flight mode, engage. Your body's just trying to stay alive, right? In the middle, there is some boredom, right? And then over here, there is expanding activity or participating in activities. And you kind of fluctuate between there. So when you are getting bored, you're starting to cross over from survival mode, from fight or flight mode, to actually having a bit more energy to even think about all the other things you could be doing, right? I'm sure you know what it's like to run on adrenaline, to be stuck in bed all day, just paralyzed in fear, not knowing what to do next. But you would only start getting bored when those things start slowly going away or start calming down. Boredom is actually a sign that your body is being given energy that you're not using. So it's like a surplus of energy. It's like you almost kind of get impatient and you're like, I want to go do this thing, I want to go do that thing. Well, when you're trying to survive, you can't even think like that. So it's essentially energy that's being given back to your body that's not being used, and your body wants to use that energy, right? Now, I'm not saying when you're in bed and you can't move and your symptoms are flaring up like crazy, go out and do something just because you've been in bed all day. Sometimes you have to stay in bed all day, right? But when you actually start feeling like you're just dragging and the symptoms aren't extremely high, but you are getting bored, that is an indicator that you should probably start introducing some activity. Because it goes back to this saying, you wouldn't be bored if your body was feeling like it's running away from a tiger or feeling like it's fighting for its life. Now it has other things to focus its attention on. So when you do start getting bored, I would suggest start slowly introducing things. Don't go out and do a big activity. Don't do way more than what you're used to. You should actually gradually move into the activity, right? Not all at once, but gradual, right? So let's say you're at home, you're extremely bored, you rarely leave the house. Well, when you start getting bored, a good time to even just step outside. You don't even have to walk far. You could just step outside your front door, take 10 deep breaths, and then go back inside. But what we're trying to do is break that fear of going outside, right? Or fear of doing any kind of activity. Start exposing yourself to these different things, right? Boredom is a great indicator that you can start doing those things, right? Whether it's going on your phone a little bit more, maybe doing some light stretching, right? Or just sitting on the ground or lying on the ground, stretching your arms, stretching your legs, right? But very simple, like 30 seconds if you have to start, 15 seconds to start. Because believe it or not, even stretching, that can be overstimulating depending on what stage you're at in recovery. Usually in the earlier stages, when you're very debilitated, even stretching, that might be too much. So slowly introduce it. But boredom is a great indicator that you can start introducing light activity again or some kind of stimulus, right? I always thought about things in terms of stimulus. I didn't really think about it as walking is walking, going to the mall is one thing, driving is one thing. They all bring on stimulus to the nervous system, right? Now, some activities just bring on more stimulus. Some activities bring on less. So gradual is the way to go. And this is where it might be a good idea to even have a list of things that you can do when you are capable of doing them, right? That way, when you start getting bored, you're not left there thinking, oh, what do I do? Like, should I do this and that? Because another thing too, when you're in a symptom flare-up or experiencing symptoms, actually throughout your entire time in CFS or in your recovery journey, you're going to be quite emotional. So it's better to be prepared for when these times come. When you get bored, at least you'll have a list of things that you could pull from, right? Well, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, versus in the moment, just being, what do I feel like doing right now? Because then you can tend to overdo it. You can tend to, just do things off the spur, which is okay. If you're further along down the road in recovery where your body's more functional and there's a lot more capacity or it's a little bit more forgiving, then yes, you could do things off the spur of the moment. But in the beginning, let's say you're couch-bound or bed-bound or even housebound, and you want to start doing things outside of the house, it's a good idea to have these different activities already laid out so you can kind of just pull and choose from them when it's time. Another thing to keep in mind when you start getting bored is you want to make sure the activities you're doing are at least enjoyable, at least somewhat enjoyable, right? It doesn't even have to be the most exciting thing or the kind of things that you did when you were normal again. You can find joy and entertainment in the simplest of things. I remember when I was getting better, I would actually wrap a lot of my camera gear or wrap my phone in carbon fiber and make sure every little detail is perfect, right? And I spent hours doing that, right? So really anything you can find entertainment in, because what happens is when you slow things down, when you're not distracted by all these things going on in life, like most people are, you can learn to enjoy the simple things, right? For me, it was wrapping all my camera gear in carbon fiber. For you, it could be anything else, right? So when you're bored, just know that you don't have to find the most entertaining thing. You can find simple things like journaling or drawing or doing simple puzzles or painting or doing, pencil crayons, right? Anything like that, all the simple things. And I found that a lot of things that I enjoyed when I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, those things kind of lit that spark in me again of creativity, because so often we just go through life on such a high speed. We're not really paying attention to things. We're just work, spend time with friends, family, sleep, work, spend time with family, sleep. Like we never take time to slow down and do the kind of activities like arts and crafts. So I found those very, very helpful in the beginning of my recovery because there's a few things. It's a little bit physical and it's also a little bit cognitive. So you're using your brain to think of these different colors or different designs. And then you're using your hands and you're sitting upright and you're focusing on putting this thing together. So it is a mix of physical and cognitive. Now, you figure out what you enjoy doing, what you find entertainment in, but this is a great time to explore different hobbies or things that you enjoyed in the past that you haven't done in years, maybe decades, right? Because you've just been so busy living life or focused on recovery. So I would encourage you to introduce those things again and see how much you enjoy it. It's not like you enjoyed it growing up and then you just don't like it anymore. You just got too busy, right? So if we introduce those things again, it'll light those sparks again of creativity for you and sparks of entertainment that, you will surprise yourself. I surprised myself at how much I enjoyed painting and coloring and writing stories and doing my creative writing, right? So just know that boredom is a great sign. Very, very great sign. And I think there's a difference between boredom and impatience, right? Impatience is almost like, I want to go do that thing. I want to do that. I want to do that. And boredom is almost like you're just sitting there and you don't really know what to do, but you feel like you shouldn't be doing something. Impatience, I feel like there's something very specific you're trying to attain, right? So impatience, it's like a bull trying to break out of a cage, right? Do you ever see those rodeos where there's a crazy bull, someone's riding on it, and as soon as they open the gates, it goes wild, right? So that's more like impatient energy. Boredom, it's more so like, you feel kind of lost. You feel like you have enough energy to do something, but you don't really know what to do. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying boredom, right? Very different from impatience. And in terms of impatience or patience, I do have a few videos about that. You can actually watch this video up here where I talk about patience during recovery. But boredom, it's like its own thing. And it's definitely something that every single person experiences on their journey in recovery. and you'll experience it multiple times at different stages, right? Boredom is basically a signal that your body wants to do more, and it's actually capable of doing a little bit more, right? So take it as a great sign. If you're starting to get really bored, really good. That means your body is coming back online. That means you have extra energy that's not being used. But anyways, I'm going to keep this very short. This is all I wanted to share with you guys today. Don't be worried if you're getting bored a lot. Like I said, it can be a really good indicator. So I hope you got some value out of this video. Just like all of my videos, you know, if you can just take 1 or 2 golden nuggets from this and apply it or store it in your vault of knowledge about recovery, then that's going to be great for you. So if you did enjoy this video, comment down below, what are some things you do when you're very bored? What are some things you do to keep your mind occupied? And how often do you get bored, right? You'll notice as you start getting better, you'll get more and more bored because your body's getting more energy because it wants to do more things, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you needed some extra help in your recovery, we talk about topics like this all the time, and we can actually help you figure out what is the best kind of activity for you to do based on your situation, right? We actually look at your cognitive capacity, physical capacity, what your roadblocks are, and we actually help you navigate this so that way you know what the most ideal things to do are when you start getting bored, right? We have it in the Recovery Jumpstart program. We have tons of personalized coaching and help in addition to learning in a group setting. So if you wanted to learn more about that, just click the link below and you can see if this is a good fit for you. But always remember, you are a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living a life with thriving health. I'll see you in the next video.